What's up, Middle Georgia Dog Pound? Welcome to another edition of the Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. I'm your host, Brian. Kevin, where's Matt, dude? Where is Matt?
Yeah, we're missing a piece of the trio, man.
Yeah, the key piece of the cog is missing.
That's right.
He is out on vacation, and we wish him well and pray that he and his family are having a relaxing time. Wherever he's at, I'm not sure. I think he just told me he was at a music festival or something. I was like, okay, whatever. Hope there's somebody good playing. But we will have some cameo appearances from Mr. Matt periodically throughout this little show here today. But to get things started off right, let's make sure that we go over our housekeeping tidbits is what I'd like to call them. As you know, if this is your first time on the show, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook to give StreamYard permission to use your photo and your name when you're commenting on the show so we can see who's talking to us. Love to hear from you. Love to get your comments. And as always, we have email address as well. So if you want to be on the show or you have a product or an item you want to feature on the show, hit us up at middlegeorgiadogpound@gmail.com. That's middle GADAWG, spelled like it should be, dogpound@gmail.com. All right, so great win between the Hedges. The Dogs took care of business against the Cats. We needed that. You called it right off the jump. You said that Auburn was our Missouri game last year, and the Dogs were going to come out to prove a point this week, and boy, did they not do it. So let's show those highlights, and we'll jump into this thing.
What is Georgia? What is Georgia? And they are a shell. And they are a shell in the past of what they were.
I think we're going to find out against. I think we're going to find out if they're man enough. I want to see if they're man enough to take on Kentucky because the Wildcats taking on the run. Taking on the run.
This team's connected. This team's connected. This team's connected. Physicality is connected.
It's time to lock the gates now. Hey, here now. It's time to lock the gates.
All right, it's about respect. Respect for the G. Listen, guys. Love this team. Love you guys. What you do every day at practice. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was when this game was dictated, okay? Connected physicality.
Connected physicality. Man, we here for a reason. We play at the University of Georgia.
We're going to come out swinging from the first ring of the bell.
For this thing. This thing right here was built for this.
It's going to be a line of scrimmage in the trenches war. He's got Marcus Roseby over the shoulder catch. Touchdown, yeah! He got there. 35.
You were wrong. Touchdown play.
Wrong.
and we're going to throw punches, and they're going to trade them all game. And there's going to be a point in this game in the second half where we ain't going to say it. We can just look at them, we can look at each other, and what we're saying is that all you got? Is that all you got?
Pressure, sack! Drop him down on his backside at the 25-yard line. Hands it to Milton, and he gets into the end zone anyway. The message is connected physicality.
Connected physicality. Connected physicality. Connected physicality.
I'm a dog. I got the dog.
Georgia dominating this game. Final score 51-13.
Love it. Love it. Came out with a mission. We proved to Kentucky that we are still their daddy. And they come to Athens between the hedges. They say, yes, daddy. And again, tuck their tail and go back home. I can't even remember the last time that Kentucky has beat Georgia. That's how long it's been. So what did you take away from this week, Kevin?
I took away that, without question, they have got this team dialing in. I don't think they've got it dialed in yet, but they are dialing it in. And I really believe that they're about to go on a tear and show you what this team is truly capable of. Like I said last week, I really think that Auburn was our Missouri game from last year. The timeline just matches up. I think I sent you and Matt a scorecard from last season, and it all just ties in together. It's like Kirby has this mentality that he knows what mark he wants his team to be at and when he wants it to be at that point. And it's about this time each and every season that they shift the gear, they take off, and they go on a run. And I believe that's what they were showing this game. The defense, I think I was looking back at the stats, and they only allowed him like what? And it was like 80 yards or something like that. After a week of going over 200 yards the week prior, they shut him down. They completely shut down the run game, and that's something that we were talking about the week before. That's what we've got to do. We've got to stop the run game. And buddy, did they ever?
Yep, absolutely. Well, I know I learned one thing. Captain Bowers is still on the call. Yep, Captain Bowers is still on the call. He is at 545 yards, 37 receptions, and 4 touchdowns. He is on track to smash Terrence Edwards' 1,000-yard record, and I pray that he does it. And it would be awesome. Absolutely, amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing to see. That is for sure. Another cool thing I learned this week was that they've been pushing this whole mantra of being a wrecking ball, and I got a little footage from Kirby in the locker room after the game.
Wrecking ball, wrecking ball. That damn offensive line was the biggest wrecking ball I've ever seen. One of the most physical, best performances against a really good quality team, okay? We played our brand of football, and y'all came out and did it. I respect the leadership of this team. We still ain't where we want to go, but we're starting to see some indications. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
That, and then one of the reporters after the game asked him, what did he mean about a wrecking ball?
I want to go back on that wrecking ball that you were talking about. Like in my head, I'm envisioning Miley Cyrus. But what are you? Is it like an actual wrecking ball?
I don't know who Miley Cyrus is. Like, what is that? What does she have to do with a wrecking ball?
Well, she has a song called Wrecking Ball.
Huh?
You never heard the song Wrecking Ball?
I know Eric Church wrecking ball.
So were you showing videos of like what specifically? Is it a wrecking ball going into a wall or certain plays or things like that? Like what were you?
Force equals mass times acceleration. So we wanted a lot of mass. What is a lot of mass? More hats. What is acceleration? More speed. And we wanted that going into them, and we wanted to do it connected. Like, we wanted to be connected in our physicality, and we showed videos of a wrecking ball. It was just a big ball hitting a building. I mean, it was knocking it down, and each week, each day in the meeting, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we wanted to be the wrecking ball.
I love that. That's so funny. What do you mean? Who's Miley Cyrus?
I love it. I love it. That is the epitome of a football coach right there.
Heck, that's full-fledged Kirby Smart. That's for sure. For
Yes,
dang
it is.
sure. That is for dang sure. Yeah. Carson Beck had him a day, man. He had some pressure, but I loved his interview after the game where he said, "I felt like I had all day in the pocket," which in some instances it did, but in some instances that pocket collapsed on him, and he just slipped, moved right up in it, and delivered strikes. Man, I mean, he was just feeling it, and I think that Auburn game, going there to Auburn, has boosted his confidence, and heck, the whole offense looked confident, and we found different ways to move the ball and run the ball, and that's what opens up to the play action, right? And that's
Right.
that's how our offense is built. And so, nothing but good things to say about the Dogs on Saturday.
And to flip back to your Brock Bowers thing, is you knew that they were going to come into this game in an effort to take him out of the game. And how about Bobo dialing up? He knew different schemes, different motions to pull defenders off of him. So he comes and wide open for a huge touchdown pass. They dialed up a great scheme to put somebody in motion to pull a defender one way, and he just goes right down the middle and he's wide open for a touchdown pass.
Yep. Grady Darcy says Allison Mastrangelo was the reporter that asked him the Miley Cyrus question. I thought it was hilarious. So funny.
It's great.
John Akaki says Bennett's shadow is gone. Yeah, I totally agree.
I would agree.
He is no longer in his shadow. That's for sure. And I saw some stat, and I wish I'd have pulled it, but there's no quarterback in Georgia history that's ever thrown as many passes, as many yards and touchdowns with an 80% completion percentage after 5 games or 6 games in the season. So pretty cool. Yeah, I should have pulled that slide. I'll try to pull it and post it on the Dog Pound page. Let's see. The Dogs stacked the box. 67 guys were on that run game. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kevin, you have any more thoughts on the Kentucky game? I know we are going to be short for conversation here because Mr. Matt's not with us.
Second, I'd like to comment on our I guess our second string guys that come in at the end of the game they were very impressive on both sides of the ball to drive down on the offensive side and score another touchdown. They had different schemes and they looked very impressive. I actually went back and watched the end of the game tonight, and Vanderbilt looked great. Our quarterback room is fantastic. I don't know if anybody ever has really paid attention to that fact. I'm sure you have, but they are great. The way he had command of his offense and moved that ball around, and then he took a big time run and hit off of a DB in that game as well.
Yep, totally agree. All of our players seemed to be on point and ready to go for this game. They were locked in. That is for sure. That is for sure. And the thing I loved about it most is that, the Kentucky really thought they were going to come out and do something against us. I mean, everybody was talking all week long that they were going to come out and punch us in the mouth, and they didn't. They did not. Bill Krug, what's up, Mr. Krug? He says Kentucky helped us out early with all their penalties. All that did is give us some momentum, and off we rode with big wave to victory. Yep, absolutely. Ken Lalonde said Beck's Heisman stock is rising fast. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking that. Grady Darcy says, I think UGA only punted once in this game, too. Yep. I made the comment that Brett Thorson was going to be tweeting after the game that Carson Beck really must hate him, just like Bennett. So it had a lot of fun tweets last year between the two. So a lot of fun there. Well, any final thoughts about the Kentucky game? Let's check the message box here to see if anybody else has any final thoughts about Kentucky. Don't see anything coming up.
I don't see anything.
Yep, me neither. Well, let's transition over to the next portion of our show. It's a little portion that we've started in the last couple of weeks to give homage to our good friend Paul Patrisco. It's a little section that we call Paul's Calls. All right, so this week's Paul's Calls. It's a few little, couple officiating calls that are little oddities that I wanted to point out, and our good friend Paul Patrisco, our retired SEC official, sent these to me and thought you guys would enjoy them.
Our first play this week, we're going to look at a potential illegal forward pass. Now, we're going to see the quarterback, he scrambles to the line, he slightly retreats, and then throws a pass downfield, which is completed for a first down. Now, the rule states that it is an illegal forward pass if it is thrown from in or behind the neutral zone after the ball carrier's entire body and the ball have been beyond the neutral zone. So the passer appears to go over the line and come back across the neutral zone and throw a pass. But as we go back and take a look at this play, and it's very tight, there's no question the feet go beyond the neutral zone, the ball is across, but it appears the right arm and shoulder never get beyond the neutral zone. So this pass is legal because the entire body had not been beyond the neutral zone. But just remember, by rule, a player cannot go over and back, beyond the neutral zone, back behind, and then throw a legal forward pass. Play 3, we're going to highlight an officiating mechanic when it comes to substitutions. Now, we're going to see the quarterback. He's in the pocket, he's flushed out, and he's going to run out of bounds on the far side boundary into his own team area. Now, we get good convergence by the crew, and this is really good preventive officiating to ensure we have no issues. But the quarterback is going to come back out of the team area, and number 3 as well for the offense. And even though it appears there may not have been a substitution here, we see the referee gives the T signal indicating the beginning of the substitution process and is going to allow the defense to substitute. Now, officiating standards dictate that if offensive players go out of bounds into their own team area between the 20-yard lines, we're going to allow the defense to substitute. And the reasoning behind this is when the offensive players go into their own team area, it can be nearly impossible to detect substitutions. So you will see our officials working the substitution process anytime the play ends and offensive players are out of bounds within their team areas between the 20s.
Yeah, I thought those were interesting. He got another gamut of them that came in this week, so I'll be going through those and putting them up for us next week so that we learn a little something new every week. I know when Paul was on with us at the beginning of the season, he mentioned that you only can call one timeout per down for either side of the ball, and there was actually a team that tried to call 2 timeouts in the same down and ended up with a delay of game penalty. So I thought that was pretty interesting that Paul had brought that to our attention at the beginning of the season. And so I'll try to show those next week, but figured that was pretty good, interesting stuff.
So
Well,
on that note, I got a question. Maybe you don't know the answer to this. When they do that, do they lose that timeout as well?
No, they don't lose the second timeout. They just only can take one timeout per down. Okay, Paul just any sounds or movement that causes the offense to react is a foul. I think that was on Grady Darcy. Grady Darcy says disconcerting signal was called against UGA. I'd be interested to know what they called. Usually UGA verbally calls defensive calls. And is that what they didn't like? And Paul says any sounds or movement that causes the offense to react is a foul. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that.
So, Paul, since you're here, could the offense potentially do things in effort to make the defense move, to make a sound or movement so they would get that call? That's something that would be a defensive side of the offense.
Let's see. He says the timeout should not be recognized, Kevin, to answer your question about. So.
Good stuff. Good information.
Yep. So Ken Lalonde wants to know what about all the shifting, because Georgia's notorious for shifting before the ball is snapped. I mean, I guess the shift is okay as long as they're not making any sort of verbal call or clap, because they've been doing that. It's the verbal call that typically drew the foul, and teams. This is not the first time that we've heard this year. It said, the announcer says, "Hey, the coaches, are aware that Georgia does this, and they're putting the officials on notice." Right. So definitely interesting. Let's see. Bill Krug says movement forward is illegal, not sideways. I like it. Learning something new on the Dog Pound every week. Every week. I love it. Well, I was waiting on Mr. Petrisco to give us his thoughts, but I don't think he's put anything up yet. But
no, he hasn't. We can jump back to that if he
absolutely.
My question.
We'll definitely come back to it. Let's run that Vandy game trailer and get into this thing. What you say?
Let's do it.
Well, the Georgia fans the last couple of years have taken over everything, so it's no surprise that we would be in a sea of red tonight.
It's special when you walk out of that locker room at Vandy and you say, man, our folks followed us. When they come, it does impact us, and it makes it a home away from home.
Throws in the end zone, reaching and catching. Glad McConkey went up high, the high point, pulled it down for the score. He'll throw a bomb down the middle of the field, and it is intercepted, I think. Yeah! Kamari Lassiter, a diving interception right on the goal line. This time they give it to Bowers on the carry, running this way, angling for the pylon. Touchdown, Brock Bowers.
I prefer to wake up and just get it, let's go,
Carson sets up with time, throws. He's got Marcus Rosemy over the shoulder catch, and he's going to angle in to the end zone, I think. Touchdown, yeah. Leary to throw, pressure, sack. Drop him down on his backside. Snap it back, throw it to the left corner. And touchdown.
Of those game trailers that UGA puts out every week. I just wish they dropped the one with whoever narrates it that they typically drop on Friday. I wish they'd drop it on Thursday. But here we are, nonetheless. At least I got something to show. So we got a little comment from Paul in the middle of that. He said, if the offense is making verbal calls, as long as the defense doesn't enter the neutral zone, no foul. So there you go, Kevin.
Yep.
There's your answer.
Always good to have Paul on the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So on to Vanderbilt. Mr. Flanders is trying to steal my thunder here. Vanderbilt hasn't scored a TD against Georgia in 5 years. Now, keep in mind, we didn't play Vanderbilt one of those years. Yeah. But still.
And it happened to be the year we were supposed to go see them.
Yep. We were there for that game, and they canceled it.
I'm not bitter at all.
I think Georgia is. Why do you think we've zeroed them the last 2 years that we played them, right?
Yes.
So as you guys know, the Vanderbilt is their mascot is the Commodore. The Commodore is nicknamed from Cornelius Vanderbilt, who was the founder of the school. He provided the initial $1 million endowment in hopes that his gifts and the greater work of the university will help to heal the sectional wounds inflicted by the Civil War. He was a businessman up in New York, and he began his business by ferrying freight and passengers on ferries between Staten Island and Manhattan. And such was his energy and eagerness in his trade that other captains nearby took to calling him the Commodore, just in jest. And it's a nickname that stuck with him all his life. And so, therefore, Vanderbilt is the Commodores. So, how about that?
Pretty neat.
Yep. Let's see. David Flanders says Vanderbilt has kept their football headquarters in the intramural building up until last year. Well, the stadium is completely tore up. I don't think the capacity is like 30,000 right now, so that's going to be interesting as well. Grady Darcy says, "What's the over and under on UGA shutting them out yet again?" I don't know. Look that up, Grady. Give us some stats on that. I don't have that yet. I do not have that yet. Paul Petresco says anchor down might have a new meaning after this game. Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. Well, Clark Lee is the head coach. As you guys know, he played for Vanderbilt as a fullback back in the early 2000s. He's made his trek throughout a few different programs, most notably Notre Dame as a linebackers and defensive coordinator before he was hired on at Vanderbilt. Now, it had flashes last year of having a great season, and it just didn't pan out. I had a couple quarterbacks that he started with and kind of transitioned out of using those. One of which is now at Mississippi State, which shocked me. That Mike White is over at Mississippi State, but overall, his head coaching career, his record is not really that great, 9-22. And, even though he is an alumni there, I don't see his tenure lasting very long as the rest of the head coaches that have been there. Everyone knows that Vanderbilt is most notably known for their baseball team. And they always put together a great baseball program and are always in the hunt for the SEC championship. So there you go. Clark Lee, also known as Daddy Warbucks. On to the offensive positions. All right, so we're going to see if we can make this thing work with a cameo from Mr. Matt. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this thing to work here. All right, I got to put the screen back up and turn the sound on, and we should be able to hear Mr. Matt. All right, Matt, take it away.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Kevin. Thank you guys for letting me be on the show. Even though it's not live, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to still come on and do my part when it talks about the offense of Vanderbilt. So let's get into this. So Vanderbilt, we know, has had a gauntlet of games, I guess, here so far. This will be their 8th straight game they played. They do get 2 byes this year because they played in week 0, but they have played their 8 games straight. So they're a little beat up. They're tired. So we shouldn't see a whole lot of really effort. I mean, not saying effort. They're going to put effort in, but it's not going to be to the extent that they did earlier in the year when they were keeping teams close and playing hard. I think they need some time off. They need a break, which they'll get next week. But they're going to have a little rough go of it here with us this week. As we look at them, totality of their team offensively, they are in total offense, they're 84th in the country in total offense and number 72 in scoring offense. They average about 29 points a game. It's like 28.9. So I rounded it up to 29, which is still pretty good for Vanderbilt. Like I said, they played 7 games. They played some tough teams, and they're still averaging, 29 points a game, which is pretty good for them than they have in the past. Their defense has kind of let them down this year, which from past coaching regimes hasn't been the problem, but this year it really is. So as we get into their quarterback play, they have 2 main quarterbacks. The first one we have here is Swan, A.J. Swan. He was the starter for them the first 5 games. Started out kind of hot, did pretty well, but ran into some trouble the last few games, and they were switched over to Kevin Seals. He's been their quarterback the last 2 games, so I don't really know which one they're going to go with. I don't know if they're going to play both of them. What their actual because Seals came in, he's played a little bit better, but not still to the extent they've been at. So Swan's throwing for about 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions with 9 sacks. So that's not great numbers there. Seals has come in over the last 2 games. He's over 600 yards, so he's averaging about 300 yards a game in the last 2 games. He's got 1 interception, but he's also taken 4 sacks. So with less games, he's taking more sacks with him playing, averaging that way. As we get into the running backs, not stellar numbers here. Their best running back we know left went to Kentucky from Ray Davis. These are the guys they have here, which is Patrick Smith and Cedric Alexander. Smith is running about 246 yards with 2 touchdowns, averaging about 4.2 yards a carry. Alexander is 209 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging about 4 yards a carry. They're not big pass catchers either. From what I'm looking up, I mean, they're like maybe 20 yards of receiving. I didn't even want to really mention it. There's not a lot of receiving coming out of their backfield for them. But now as we get into the wide receiver group, these 2 guys I'm pointing out are really good. Now, these 2 guys are going to be NFL players, so that's the kind of weirdness of it. Especially Will Shepherd. This guy is really good. He's going to play in the NFL one day, and imagine the thing he's going to do when he gets a really good quarterback and a good offensive line to help give him some time to get his routes in full. So he's got 550 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, averaging 15.7 yards a catch. He is number 12 in the nation in yards, number 3 in the nation in touchdowns. So he's our main target when they get into the red zone for their passing game. McGowan here, 300 yards, not as many yards as Shepherd is, but still stellar. He doesn't really have any touchdowns because when they get in the red zone, they're going after Shepherd and his deal, but still averaging 11 yards, 11.8 yards. And he's also got he also has 76 yards rushing. So also using him in the rushing game as well. I think he's like 14 to 18 rushes throughout the year. So he's being used in that swing routes and stuff like that in the rushing game. Once again, they're not a stellar team on offense, but they are averaging 28 points a game. So they'll push the ball. They'll do a lot here. We do know over the last 3 games, they've only had 6 points scored on us. The last time they scored a touchdown on us was in 2018. So we'll look to see how they do this year, see if we can keep that streak going of no touchdowns. But we'll look forward to watching the game. Thank you, guys. See y'all soon.
Good stuff from Mr. Matt. Glad to see him come on and provide us a little cameo there and bring us up to date on the offensive positions that we need to be looking out for. Well, Kevin, I'll let you take it from this point, man, and bring us up to speed on what we need to look for on the defense.
All right. So this defense is ranked 108th overall. They are allowing about 421 yards per game. That's 263 yards passing and 157 yards rushing. That's an average. They have lost 5 straight games so far, with their most recent loss coming to Florida, coming against Florida with 38-14 loss. In that game, they gave up 495 yards and 215 yards of rushing and 280 yards passing. That is huge against Florida. These guys have got their hands full coming this week with Georgia coming to town. The first player I'd like to highlight is C.J. Taylor. He's number 1. He's a junior out of Tennessee. He's got 22 solo tackles, 45 overall tackles. He is the second leader in tackles on the team for solo tackles. He is the leader overall with that 45. He leads the team with 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. This kid is going to be all over the field. He's going to interrupt our run game. He's going to interrupt our pass game. He's going to be trying to disrupt our offensive line to get past them, to get to the quarterback, to disrupt his timing, and just make an impact there in that passing game. So Beck cannot dial in his passing attack against this team. So look for C.J. Taylor, number 1, to make an impact and hear his name called. The second player I'd like to highlight is Nate Clifton. He's a senior out of Tennessee. He has 7 solo tackles and 2.5 sacks and 1 interception. And this is a defensive end with an interception. So this is the ball batted up in the air and it just comes down in his grasp. But this is an impact player at the line of scrimmage. This is one of those guys that's going to get there and challenge our offensive line. So this is one of those guys that you're going to have to look out for. You're going to have to make sure you've got him contained and he does not get through to disrupt that pass game, because that's where he got this interception. He's the biggest threat they have off the edge on this defense. He likes to come around the offensive line and really get after the quarterback. Thirdly, our player is Savion Riley. And I always like to highlight these Georgia guys, and this is another one of those Georgia guys. He's out of Ackworth, Georgia. These guys that are coming from the state of Georgia, they want to make an impact in this game when they're playing their home team. He's number 21. So he leads the team in tackles overall. He's got 23 solo tackles, 32 overall. He's great in pass coverage. He explodes the ball. You're going to see him all over the field, making plays wherever the ball is thrown. And this guy's going to be there to make that tackle. And like I said, every time you got a guy that's from the state of Georgia, you're going to hear his name called because he wants to make that big impact play against his home team. These are just those 3 guys that I found on their defensive side that I feel like it's going to make an impact in this game.
Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's definitely are some guys that we need to be looking out for and taking notice of, and I'm sure that you're right. We're going to hear their name called. Let's catch a few comments here. Grady Darcy says Vandergriff and Cash Jones will both have more yards than our starters at QB and running back. That might be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Bill Crooks says, Kevin, I can see why their D is weak because based on your chart, they only play 10 guys. Laugh out loud. Grady Darcy says, Bill Krug, they stole those plays from Notre Dame. That is for dang sure, especially at the end of the game. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, we're at a point now where we are going to move on to my favorite spot of the show is the Pick'em games. So let's roll that footage here. All right, as we we got another cameo from Mr. Matt, and let's bring him on. Mr. Matt, tell us why you picked the games you picked. Well, before I do that, let me let me bring everybody up to speed on where we stand in our standings. Kevin and I have significantly slipped. Kevin is like almost out of the game
struggling.
here. Almost out of the game. So I got to pick up the slack here for us and beat Mr. Matt. But Matt is now leading. He went from last to first in about 2 or 3 weeks. So he's been doing his homework. So good for you, Matt. Good for you. All right, that first game. Here we go. Is Tennessee and A&M. Let's see what Matt has to say about this team.
All right, let's get into these pick'em games. I picked a lot of these games because they are the games where the teams will be separating themselves from the rest of the pack in the conference, or these teams that, hey, we'll really find out who they really are, if they are a 500 team or below 500 team. And so that's kind of my mindset behind some of these picks. So as we go through it, here's what we got. First game, Texas A&M and Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game. I really think that the offense will be there enough. The home stadium is kind of what my main focal point on that one is, to see if Tennessee can really get over that hump. Are they really a contender in the East? I think Texas A&M put a lot of effort into their game last week. And I think even though they're not a bad team, I think Texas A&M's defense is really legit. But I think they're not playing great on the road. That's the problem with Texas A&M. They are not playing great on the road. That's kind of why the Miami loss was such a shocker to us. But that's how we look for that one.
All right. So, Kevin, you're writing these down, aren't you?
Yeah, I need to be, don't I?
Yeah.
Man, Matt is definitely killing us.
He is.
Me, especially, both of you are. I am not doing hot at all in these pick'em games. I'm in agreement with Matt in this one. I got Tennessee winning this one. Even though that A&M's coming off that loss against Alabama, I just don't think Texas A&M is what we thought they were going to be this year. I think Tennessee, they're coming off that huge win against South Carolina. I think they're going to ride that momentum. I think they're going to get a big time win against Texas A&M, 41-32.
Wow, I like it. Let's see. Ken Lalonde says, "Can they both lose?"
No kidding, right?
He's taking Tennessee by 10 at home. Khaki says A&M 24-17. Man, that makes me want to take. I really just wanted to go out on a limb and take A&M. I'm not sure. Khaki says A&M rebounds as Milton will face a bunch of pressure. Let's see.
Keep in mind, I think Tennessee is favored in this game.
Yeah, they are. Bill Krug says Tennessee will beat A&M by 10. Dad says Tennessee 31, A&M 27. And Grady Darcy says A&M 44, Tennessee 38. God, what time is this game? It's a night game too, isn't it?
3:30.
Oh, that might make a difference.
And it's at Tennessee.
God, it's so hard to win there, man. I gotta
conjure up some of that Indian juju up there in that stadium.
Yeah. God, the problem is you pick it, you're stuck with it. That's our rule. That is our rule. Akaki, I'm delaying if you can't tell. Akaki says Bill Krug says Akaki needs to stop smoking that bad weed. Oh Lord. Oh gosh. All right. I just can't take A&M. I cannot take A&M. I mean, geez Louise. I can't take A&M. I'm just going to have to go with Tennessee. I'm going to go with Tennessee, but it's going to be close. I think, Mike, whoever's got the ball last possession wins 3 or 7, something like that. I'm going to go Tennessee. I really don't want to, but I'm going to. All right. What's the next game here? Let's see who we got. Next game is Kentucky, Missouri. All right, Matt, tell us why you picked that team.
All right, as we get into the next game, Missouri and Kentucky. This is the two teams who are beat up. These defenses did not look great last week. I'm super surprised with how these defenses turned it out. I'm glad that Kentucky's defense looked like trash because that helped us out a lot. But I was really surprised by Missouri. I know that LSU can put up points, but this is going to be a big game. Is which one of these teams can stay with Georgia in the East, can compete with Georgia in the East, to maybe hopefully at the end of the year be that second best team. And even if from Missouri, if they can still compete with us and still maybe try to take the East from us. With this game, honestly, I like Kentucky at their home place. I think off this beatdown, they're going to be looking for some revenge and showing the country they're not as terrible as they looked against us. So I think Missouri's defense is pretty good, even though LSU put a bunch of points on them. But I am going with Kentucky in this game. I know it's a kind of a surprise. I think Missouri is going to give us a really good game, but I'm looking for Kentucky to get it back in the win column with this next game against Missouri.
All right. I didn't expect him to do that. I did not expect him to do that. Grady Darcy says Kentucky 35, Missouri 24. Dad says Kentucky 38-27. Ken Lalonde says Kentucky bounces back and they go 31-14. Akaki says Kentucky got more NIL money selling some Derby horses. Let's see. Bill Krug says Kentucky will rebound, but it will be close, 3 points to win. Oh, here we go. Hunter Ivy. Mizzou by 17. Brady Cook has a huge day. And that is my choice as well. I'm taking Mizzou as well. I think Mizzou is coming to prove a point. They should have won that game against LSU, and they're going to come back with all guns blazing. I think they're going to win this one. I'm taking Mizzou. And I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns because Kentucky is one-dimensional. That is it. They have no passing game. What you think, Kevin?
I'm going against you. I'm going with Matt on this one. I think Kentucky's going to win this one. Missouri has struggled through all their games, and they lost to LSU by 10. They barely beat Vanderbilt, really. 38-21. Memphis 34-27. Kansas 30-27. MTSU 23-19. This is not a good team. I don't care what they look like. All the flashes and highlights. Missouri is not a good team. Their coach spends way too much time watching Star Wars or something. But this is going to be a big time loss. I got Kentucky winning this one big, 38-24.
I like it. Let's see. John Akaki says Kentucky 31, Missouri 28. Paul Petrisco says Missouri by 3. Akaki says Ivy posted mine. He's not in the LEC anymore. Go Dogs. And then he says
we
Bill
figured
Crow
you helped
said,
him out with that, John.
I know, right? Ain't that the truth? All right. On to our next one. Auburn, LSU. Let's see what Matt has to say about Auburn, LSU.
All right, next game, Alabama and LSU.
He said Alabama, but
LSU. I said I wasn't going to pick them again unless they won, and they won last week, but it was a terrible win. Let's be honest and real. And I just know that Auburn has only offense they have is a run game. So if LSU can just pinpoint all that into their run game and stop them, maybe they'll actually have a good, solid game for once. I just don't think Auburn's offense is enough to really put pressure and outscore LSU because they're going to score points. But the offense has a really good defense that we're really learning they are a well-coached defensive team. I'm still going to go with LSU, and we'll see how that turns out for me.
I like it. I like it. So Matt takes LSU. What say you, Mr. Kevin?
This is going to be an interesting one. Auburn has had a week off since they played Georgia. They've had a chance to lick their wounds, to go back to the drawing board to fix what they need to get fixed. LSU, like you pointed out, they did have a go with Missouri. And like I pointed out, Missouri is not that good of a team. They barely beat all the opponents that they won their games. I am going to take Auburn in an upset against LSU. I've got Auburn winning this one in a close one, 42-38.
Wow. Holy cow. Wow. All right. Well, I didn't expect that. Dad says LSU 41-35. Grady Darcy says LSU 27-21. Ken Lalonde says the Tigers 35 against Auburn 14. Let's see. Bill Krug says LSU will beat the other Tigers by 14. Hunter Ivy says give me Auburn by 7. Wow. Wow. Akaki says Auburn must win 28-24. And Paul Petrisco says LSU 33-17. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Bill Krug. Oh, thank you, Bill. I needed a laugh tonight. I appreciate that.
That was good. That was good.
Great. I saw that sitting down there, and I about split my sides. Oh, that's funny.
All right. Let's see. On to the next one here, guys. All right, Oregon and Washington. Now, I've been looking forward to this game. The next game I want to see in the Pac-12 is Oregon and USC, but this is going to be a good one. Let's see. I didn't put Oregon's rank in here, but I think they're both top 10 teams, aren't they?
Oregon is ranked number 8. Washington is number 7, so they're right there together.
Yeah, so this is going to be a great. But it is going to be a great game. Let's see what Matt says.
All right. Biggest game of the week in the country, honestly. Washington and Oregon. I'm going to make it simple for me. I'm going to pick the team who has a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. And there's only 2 teams in the nation who have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense, and that is Georgia and Oregon. So I'm going with Oregon in this game. Go Dan Lanning.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I saw that one coming. I see you're picking Oregon too, Kevin. What's
yes, sir.
You got a score for us?
46-42, Oregon.
I like it.
Let's go, Big Dan.
Let's see. Dad says Oregon 44, Washington 34. Bill Krug says Oregano will spice up with the Huskies and win a close one. I like it. Grady Darcy says Oregon 41, Washington 40. Wow. A 1-point difference. That will be close.
Yes, it will.
Ken Lalonde says it's going to be a duck walk. I like that. 38-32. Oh, here we go. Paul's going against the grain, saying Washington 46, Oregon 44. Huskies are going to be tough at home. I agree with that, and I think that's why the line there, their 3-point line favoring Washington is showing that. Totally agree. John Akaki says Ducks 41, Huskies 40 in overtime. Hunter Ivy says high scoring game, Oregon 52-49.
Hunter Ivy.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, this was going to be a tough one to call, but I got to go with Oregon. I still have to go with Dan Lanning. I think his defense is going to come out and punch Washington in the mouth. They hadn't seen anybody yet.
He got to stop.
Bill Krug is on a roll tonight, man.
He's killing me. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh, he's killing me.
He is on a roll tonight. That is for sure. All right, on to our next one here, guys. South Carolina versus the lousy, stinking Gators. Let's see what Matt has to say about this one.
Our last game here, South Carolina and Florida. So, I never want to pick for Florida. I really don't. I do not want them to win. I do not think they're a good team, but they've gotten more wins than we thought they were going to get. That Tennessee win was surprising. But I'm not picking them. I'm going with South Carolina. I think they're going to be at home. I think they're going to be amped up. They had a bye week last week, and so I think they're going to have a good opportunity to come back and really show off that arm and with the quarterback Rattler, and they're going to play well. Their rushing defense, the rushing offense is not good. That's how Kentucky beat them, is rushing the ball so much. So they're going to struggle with that. They're going to have to throw the ball, and so Florida's going to bring a lot of pressure on that. But I still think South Carolina pulls off the win and gets back in the win column for them. All right, guys, enjoy your night.
All right. Well, what you say, Kevin?
I am a true Georgia fan and a Gator hater, and I will not pick Florida to win anything. I don't care if I go down in the ship burning. I will not pick Florida to win anything. I got South Carolina winning this one, and I think they're going to come out and have the game of their life because they had a bye week. They got a chance to get things right. I think they come out, and you see the Spencer Rattler that we saw at the Georgia game. They're going to beat the brakes off of Florida. I got them winning 42-21.
I like it. Paul Patrisco says he thinks the Swamp Things win 42-40. John Akaki says Rattler in a cock walk 45-24. I think that's probably what we're going to see is a lot of scoring. Maybe a situation where they run out of fireworks again. Ken Lalonde says, and a chicken eats a gator. South Carolina 42, Florida 21. I like it. Grady Darcy says, let's go refs. South Carolina 38, Florida 19. Dad says South Carolina 34-24. Hunter Ivy says South Carolina wins 38-21. And there we go. Bill Krug. South Carolina will lay it on them Gators. No more hits on the khakis. Paul Patrisco says moral of this story: don't bet on college football. Ain't that the truth?
Yes.
Ain't that the truth? That's why we don't bet. We just enjoy this.
We've been saying it all year. It is a weird year.
It is a
football.
weird year for football. That is for sure. Geico pick Gamecocks. I like it. All right. We are there, guys. We are there. The game of the week. The Dogs versus the Commodores. Let's see what Mr. Matt has to say about the Dogs.
For Georgia, Vandy. I do think this is going to be a rough game for Vandy. I think we're going to just beat the brakes off this team, and I feel bad for it because, it's just Vandy. But I'm picking 55-10 Georgia over Vandy. I do think they'll score a touchdown. I think it'll be late, fourth quarter, when we got our third, four stringers in there on defense, and they'll get some breakaway play, or they'll do something to end up breaking their streak, and they'll score some points. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. It matters about a W. It doesn't matter how many points they score. It's about getting that W, winning every game by 1 point. So ultimately, I think they will score a touchdown at the end of the game, but it will be short-lived because we'll still beat them by 40. In the spreads, I think 31-32. So I'm looking 55-10.
I like it. What you think, Kevin?
I am in agreement. Just with a little tweak there. I think Georgia is still bitter about them calling off that freaking game a few years ago. I think Kirby is still bitter about it. I think that this is a game that Kirby wants a shutout every freaking time they play Vanderbilt because of what they did and calling off that game during the COVID season. I think
they called it off twice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they did. I think that Georgia gets another shutout, and I think it's going to be 52-0.
Yep. Totally agree. Totally agree. Ken Lalonde says Kirby still hasn't forgotten being stood up twice. Yep.
Yeah.
Dog 65-3. I like it. Dad says UGA 55-7. Grady Darcy says the Dogs 45, Vandy 0. Co-ed soccer players from UGA played the entire fourth quarter. I like it. I like it. Let's see. Bill Krug says the Dogs will crush them for a payback. Yep. I like it. I like
year
it.
after year.
Paul Petresco says no contest. The Dogs want 53-3. Hope the D-line shows more energy. Yeah, me too. Me too. Hunter Ivy says the Dogs 45-0, and John Akaki says 58-6. Yeah, I'm along the same lines as everybody else in the 50s range. I'm probably gonna say 52-10, but yeah, I think that Matt's probably right. We probably do give up. We probably got our third, fourth stringers in there in the second half, and probably end up giving up a touchdown on some fluke play. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. We just got to get the dub and get on to our bye week so that we can face the Gators there in Jacksonville. All right. Any final thoughts? Kevin?
My thoughts are this is the Georgia team that we thought we were going to see. I think we're going to see it for the rest of the season. And all the doubters, I think you're going to be proven wrong. I really believe that, and I think that you're going to see it as the season goes along, and I think we're going to be right there in the championship hunt when it comes down to the end.
Yep, totally agree. Paul Petrisco says, great show, guys. Yeah, thanks for sending those videos in to me, Paul. I know you're probably not going to take credit for it, but that's okay. I appreciate it because you pointed it out, and it gives us a little more content on our show. So really do appreciate it. John Akaki says Miami is practicing kneeling, going to church at St. Joseph's Church. Grady Darcy says, I couldn't find a betting line on a shutout, but they show it. It's likely Dogs shut them out. I like that. Yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. I think the Dogs are going to take care of business, and we're going to see a different team for the rest of the season. And I sure am happy to see it because I was very nervous with the first part of the season. But well, let's shut this thing down right because we are at an hour and 2 minutes, and got work tomorrow.
That's right.
Well, guys, we will be back next week recapping the big win up in Georgia's second home, which is also known as Nashville. The Dogs do take over there every single year and turn that stadium red and black, as it should be, because we own them, and we will continue to own Vanderbilt. But I'm Brian, Kevin, Mr. Matt. Enjoy your vacation, my friend, and we will see you guys next week right here on the Middle Georgia Dog Pound. And go Dogs!
Go Dogs!